All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this one, I'm interviewing one of our success stories coming out of the six-figure marketing consultant program recently, Aaron L. Spice. And Aaron has only really been at his journey for a solid 8 months now and is now doing $25,000 a month recurring, as well as having his first $10,000 day this past Friday when I'm recording this, which I think was sometime in late October. So it's a pretty incredible interview. Aaron is an amazing dude and an amazing friend. He actually met up with me locally when he was first getting his journey started. Sometimes somebody's, driving through the area and they say, hey, just join the program, would love to meet up. And sometimes I say yes, sometimes not. You never know when you're busy, but I happen to meet up with him and he actually became a pretty solid friend. And it's been amazing to watch his journey so far. Aaron, within the next year and a half, says he wants to get to $80,000 a month with his agency. And he kind of, in this interview, lays out his plan as to how he's going to go about that and what decisions he's going to make moving forward to get him to that level, including all of the mental and psychological things that he has to work on in his own head to get to that level. So this is a really neat interview. I recommend, just like all of the rest of the interviews on our channel, that you sit down with a pen and a pad and watch it all the way through. This one's a fairly short interview because honestly, his story is just so incredible that it doesn't take much telling. It's there. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible journey he's gone through. I recommend you go through it with a pen and a pad. So that being said, if you want help with your own agency and you're excited to get started or scale your existing agency, I highly, highly recommend that you finally take the leap and schedule a call with myself or my team using the link in the description. It's the best way to get started. There's really no other way to get a glimpse as to what we teach or how we teach it or what our methods are and the sorts of things we do for our students. And there's no pressure. There's no huge high pressure sales tactics used. We're really just looking for win-win clients, and we're looking to see if you're qualified for what we have to offer. So go ahead and schedule your call down below. With that being said, welcome to the channel, Aaron. All right, Aaron, long time coming, man.
How's it going, man?
It's great to have you on the channel. Obviously, I'll record a separate intro, so I'll have introduced you, but I like to start off these interviews by just kind of like having you share where you're at with your agency, how long it's taking you to get there, and what your niche is, and just all the high level technical like that.
Okay, cool. So my niche is e-com, and how long did it take me to get here? So I started my agency. I technically started my agency about 2 years ago, but nothing happened until about a year ago. I was doing pretty much everything wrong. So about a year ago, I signed my first client. Things were going slow, but here recently really took off. And in October, we did about 25K, which is super exciting. Friday was actually a 10K day, which was super exciting. So yeah, man.
That's crazy. You made a big jump there. That's a huge jump from we got started and it was slow, and then in October we had 25K. Like, break that into chunks for me, man. Like, what were the big points of growth for you, and what did it kind of take to break through those layers?
Yeah. So I think a huge one was just some limiting beliefs that I had. One huge one was just about what I was charging. I was really afraid to charge any more than 2K per month for my services. Actually, when I first started, I was afraid to even charge $1,000. I remember the first guy that I worked with, I charged $500. So I just was not confident in my ability. And it ended up being such a low price that I wasn't even able to deliver, the type of service that I wanted to, because it was such a low price. And learned from that, bumped it up to about 1,500. It was a little better, but it still wasn't where I felt like I needed to be. And actually worked with you a little bit and bumped things up to around 2,500, depending on the client. And once I got through that, that was huge.
That's the biggest one, dude. Inside of our stuff, like if we can break somebody through, to understanding that what you charge is just a matter of what you say on the phone and nothing else.
Yeah.
It gets pretty easy. So you're saying the main thing for you was charging higher, and I imagine it wasn't just charging higher, it was also the confidence that came with that.
Oh, for sure.
The realization that you had like a service that people would pay that much for.
Yeah,
And then that kind of just spirals into making better decisions for your whole business, right?
for sure. And once I learned that we could generate the great type of results that I wanted to generate for these clients, that boosted my confidence to a whole new level as well. So I think both of those things combined really, really helped me out, especially on the sales calls, because I kind of adopted this mindset of, if you don't work with us, you're crazy. You're making the wrong decision, and that confidence definitely shows.
Yeah, dude, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
So what's it like, dude? Like, because it wasn't long ago that you were kind of just getting started. Like, I remember you're actually one of the. I don't meet with many people in person, but if they're driving through and they message me like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I think I remember, it was right after you joined the program, and you were like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna be in Indy, like driving through for a wedding." We met up. And I remember our conversations then. You were like, "You think I could do 10K?" I'm like, "Dude, like, yeah,
Yeah.
prices to just follow the material. It works great. It's just connect with these people." And I gave you kind of a game plan, but like even then, like, what's it been like? What's it been like to grow? Because not a lot of people really know the internal and external changes that come with reaching the level that you're at. So kind of walk us through it. And maybe this could be a moment for you too, where you're kind of realizing like, oh, I am kind of there. Like 25K is no joke, dude.
Yeah.
That is no joke.
It's awesome, man. It's crazy. It took me, like last Friday when I had the 10K day, it took me a couple of days to process the fact that I made $10,000 in a day.
Yeah, I bet.
My bank account, it's almost a shock to me. Wow, that was a big jump in one day, How has it changed things? It has changed things in a major way, man. Not long ago, I mean, like a year ago, I could barely pay rent. Dude, I remember at one point there was a month where I had to choose between buying groceries and paying rent. Like that's how low it was. And to go from that point to not, I mean, just 6-8 months down the line, making 25K in a month, which is insane.
That is pretty wild. I've never really taken a step back and looked at your journey like that. Like, yeah, I didn't know that you were struggling with that. That's so crazy, dude. I had no idea it was like that dire for you at one point.
It was crazy, man. It was not fun at times. I was working as a valet at a hotel, actually.
Oh, wow.
Trying to grow my agency, just didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah,
Making
right.
a lot of costly mistakes. Living off of cheap food, trying to get things going. Finally got things rolling, and it's been amazing.
That's so cool, dude. So project yourself out a little bit here, because I mean, the trajectory you're on now, granted, it will plateau and stall for different various technical and psychological reasons. But from scratch to within 8 months, $25,000 a month, with pretty high margins. From what I know, you've got like one media buyer, right? Like that's all you've got, or do you have more than that?
I've got one media buyer. We're working on building a very small team as we grow, but
Nice.
Right now, one media buyer.
Solid. Okay, cool. That's good. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 months and you've added 25,000 a month to, your business. What does the next 2 years look like for you? Like, what are the goals here? Because I see, honestly, Aaron, like, and I'm talking to you, like, as a brother here, like, you can forget the interview. Straight up, I see where you're going, and it just, like, gets me so stoked.
Yeah.
So kind of paint a picture for me of where you're going to be, 2022, 2023. What are the goals? What does that look like? And kind of give me a day in the life of that dude,
It's hard to picture what things will be like in 2 years, because if you would have asked me that question a year ago,
you'd have been like, oh, I have no idea. It's probably going to suck just as much as it does now.
But I mean, what do I want it to be like? What do I think it'll be like? In 2021, I would love for my agency to be doing 80K per month, maybe. And I think that's doable. Absolutely. Because I just started utilizing paid traffic. The 25K per month, that number was hit through organic. And now I have the budget and the money to pour into paid, which will really, really speed things up. So the agency doing 80K per month, maybe higher. I would love to teach people how I got here, educate people. And something else is, it's not quite related to the agency side of things, but I'd love to get into real estate.
Nice.
And start building my portfolio there just for long-term success. So
Nice.
that's where I see myself in the next 2 years.
Solid. So it's just keeping the same trajectory, not changing much, maybe, adding on another like model of education, but besides that, like keeping it pretty steady.
Keeping it steady. I just want to keep the main thing right now, grow this thing. And I don't want my focus to be taken away. So that's where I see myself right now. Of course, things could change.
Yeah, totally. Things could very quickly change, but honestly, dude, like, I don't see that happening for you. So dude, like, I'll sound like a dead horse, or sound like I'm beating a dead horse, or sound like a broken record, but 8 months, you've grown faster than, most people dream of.
Yeah.
Really. And now granted, like, I don't want to paint the picture with this interview like this is like the normal thing. Like, Aaron is a special dude for sure. But what do you feel like it took on your end? Like, what are some of the traits? And this can kind of be like a, like a boasting session if it needs to be or whatever. Like, but what are the traits for you that, you feel like have aided you in moving so fast? Like, because 8 months is not that, that's 2 months, 4 times, like it's not that much time. So like, what was already in you that you were able to apply to this that made this work?
Yeah. Oh man. I think the main thing was just how bad I wanted things to work out and the drive. I think that stems from just knowing that I have to make it work. I didn't go to college like you as well. And I moved out to Nashville to start this whole thing. I didn't really give myself any second option. So in my head, I thought, I have to make this work. And I think that helps me. And then just traits that I picked up along the way. Confidence being a huge one, and just knowledge in general, which.
How do you develop that confidence? Like, do you have like a formula for that, or like a sort of a way that you attack that? Because that's a big deal. Like, you said a lot by saying confidence, like that's a deep threaded thing. Like, what is confidence to you? How can you, what's the formula there? How can you measure confidence? Because if somebody's hearing this right now and is like, oh, so the only real thing that he said, because you've said confidence a few times now, seems to be a bit of, somebody's probably gonna be listening to this and be like, all right, how do I develop that confidence? So I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts there, on like what that took, and if it was just a big leap and seeing how it would work out, or if it's something you worked on internally and then eventually let it turn into something in your business, or what did that look like, as best as you can put it?
Yeah. I think it's very hard when you're first starting out to develop this confidence, but my best advice would be to learn as much as you possibly can about your field. Because when you haven't had the awesome results that you can, show to potential clients, the next best thing is just the knowledge and knowing how to execute. So I would say that's where you start. Learn as much as you can, and the more knowledge that you have over a particular subject, the more confident you will be. And from there, once you start generating results and you start closing people on the phone, and you realize that, I can actually do this, I think your confidence will just skyrocket from there. That's what happened to me, and which was always a struggle. I'm a young guy. I'm 21. A lot of the times I'm talking to 40, 50-year-old dudes on the phone, telling them I can grow their business to 100K per month, 200K per month. Sometimes I just feel like a young kid, and so it's a struggle. And so yeah, first knowledge, and then once you begin to rack up the results and learn how to sell on the phone, I guess everything falls into place.
It really is like a kind of a cycle. I think one of the ways that I've heard it best articulated is like confidence is like it's just trust in yourself, and trust is built with consistency over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And so it's like being able to show up over and over again on the promises you make to yourself and things that you tell yourself you're going to do, doing them. And I think it's cool because you're already this pretty self-trusting kind of guy. Like you showed me when you were out in Indy, you had this photo of you in like freshman of high school, and then this photo of you now, and you've put on like 30 fucking pounds of just muscle mass and like all these, like that's hard to do,
Yeah.
And so you've done these things that take a certain level of discipline. And if you guys if whoever's listening to this watches my channel often, you know that one of the things that I talk about is how you do anything is how you do everything, and everything's kind of connected. And the attitude and traits that you pour into fitness, what you pour into, any project are the same ones that you're going to find you pour into your business. And so you already kind of had this like idea of yourself of like, all right, I have this goal, I'm going to achieve this goal, and I'm going to figure it out. So taking even a step back, let's even use your fitness journey as an example. Like even then, before you had any of that confidence, like what did that jump look like, and how do you make that jump?
That's a hard question, but
Yeah, I'm kind of putting you in a corner, man. I want to dig deep here.
yeah. Fitness, weightlifting, I think that was absolutely a stepping stone. How much did it feed into the business? I don't know exactly, but I would say probably a lot, because fitness, weightlifting did teach me discipline. It taught me that, to achieve anything, a lot of the times it's just repeated actions over and over and over, and you don't have to complicate things. And I think that applies to business a lot. People overcomplicate, and they get bored of something and they stop doing it, even if that's whatever was pushing the needle. So I think that fitness taught me how to just stick with something, even if it's boring. And it definitely upped my confidence. Just from, honestly, just because I used to be such a small guy in high school, and just packing on a little bit of muscle definitely upped my confidence a little bit. Even just day-to-day things, So I think that definitely helped me out going into business.
It's super interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying one of the things is like being able to do consistently boring things over long.
Yeah.
What are some of the boring things that you do every day right now? Like, because here's the thing, we've talked about the luxury of it, like how cool it is, 25K, like, oh, we're going to try and get 2 million a year and all this. But like, it is kind of boring. Like, even for me, like I'll be working on my business one day. I'm like, I spent 3 hours like in a Google Doc. Like, so what are these boring things that you do that you find yourself doing over and over again, and kind of share that with people? Because I think it'd be good for them to have a good expectation of what it kind of looks like.
Yeah. Meetings is one that I'm not a huge fan of. And I'm in some sort of meeting every single day now. Feels like, at least. Even just writing social media posts, which is something that I do every day now, to try to attract clients organically.
Yep.
And sitting in front of Ads Manager and just looking at the numbers and taking the same actions every day, analyzing and repeating the process. There's just a few things that you have to do every single day that aren't necessarily the most fun, but they have to be done.
Yeah. And can it ever feel like, do you ever get to a point where you're like questioning it? You're like, all right, like, does this action fit into the grand scheme of where I'm trying to go? Do you ever get kind of like that? Because that's one thing I've heard a lot from people who are either just getting started or even at like 20K a month and are wanting to scale, like they're wanting to scale.
Yeah.
How do you align your actions with that end vision? And how do you make sure that what you're doing actually moves the needle?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's something that I struggle with at the moment, because I've seen the power of some of these actions that I'm taking.
Nice.
It's what's helped me get to the point that I'm at. But I definitely struggled with it at first, where I saw any, return on the action. I didn't know if it was really working, and it was definitely very hard to stick with it. I think one thing that helped me was when my agency started to get going. We were in the middle of COVID, and everybody was just inside, and I didn't have too much better to do. So I would just sit down at my laptop and do what needed to be done, and do that every single day. So in a way, that helped as well.
Nice. Just kind of isolating and doing what needed to get done.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Too many people, I feel like, want instant gratification and the instant attention of owning a business, but in reality, that doesn't come for a while. And you need to just sit down alone and do these actions over and over and over before you get any sort of return, which is something I feel like not a lot of people really understand or are willing to go through.
Yeah, honestly, like with where, internet marketing is at and with where business is headed, like 8 months of doing the boring stuff every day, consistently day in and day out, using yourself as a case study brings you to some pretty solid places.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we train on is like, there's only 3 things that matter. It's like setting appointments, getting better at sales, and then getting better at getting results.
Yeah.
Like those are the only things that matter.
Yeah.
And so it's just reverse engineering the actions you need to take to set appointments, doing your math, doing your numbers. Like we don't teach email or cold call or anything like that, but like on a psychological level, let's say we did teach cold calling. If you knew it took you 200 cold calls to get a meeting, if let's say you closed 1 out of 3 meetings, then you would know you needed, like 600 cold calls in order to get a client. So then do it yourself or train somebody and just hit the phone. And it's the boring, monotonous, repetitive stuff that really pushes you into a realm that you didn't really believe you were capable of or even worthy of.
Yeah.
But I don't think we truly fully understand the power that we have at our fingertips by saying, you know what, I'm going to ignore distractions and do what I need to do for the next year, 2 years. And most people watching this too, man, this is something it's hitting me recently, just how freaking young I am. Like I've zinned out a lot.
Yeah.
Like I'm just at a place of just total peace. Like I'm 20, turning 21 in 2 weeks. Neither of us have kids or a wife or anything like that. And most people watching this are going to be in a similar age situation to us. And even if not, like if you are like, if you're anyway, and if you can justify the fact that you're young at all, like the power of getting started in this stuff is just freaking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I kind of want to start to wrap up with like, what's your main advice? Like if somebody's either getting started or let's say, they've got like 2 or 3 clients and they can't scale past it, or they're having just frustrations with the state of their agency, or they want to get started. Like what's kind of like encapsulate some stuff for me, and help some of the people that are maybe listening in right now that are inspired by your story. What do they need to do? How can they get started? What's the biggest hurdles that they should expect to leap over? Just kind of give them something that's practical and useful.
Yeah. One big piece of advice, I would say, don't mistake being busy and actually moving the needle. There are a lot of activities that a lot of people are probably doing right now that are really not that important, and they're spending hours a day on it. Really find the activities that have a huge effect in your business and repeat those activities over and over. The second thing, if you're able, and I know not everyone out there is in a position to get help, but if you're able, highly, highly recommend you find someone who can guide you through the process. That's what made the biggest difference in my business. I mean, in 2019, I probably made a total of $5,000 to $10,000, and I made that last Friday this year. So that was the biggest thing for me.
So get help and identify what's actually moving the needle are your 2 main things.
I would say so. Yep.
Cool.
It's very easy to fall into the trap of being busy. And
yeah, man, especially when you're self-employed, your tasks aren't being handed to you. You really have to learn how to, let your business guide you and just follow the numbers and trust the numbers.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's probably good advice for myself now even. It's easy at every stage to get distracted.
Yeah, for sure.
Let the numbers guide you. But Well, cool, man. It's been a pleasure having you on the channel. People are welcome to meet you in our Facebook group, as well as the private Facebook group for our program members. As well, for those of you watching this far, Aaron has actually now been appointed role of one of our coaches. So if you are to join the program, he might end up working with you, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for your time, Aaron. Great having you on the channel.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your time, and to everybody watching. I look forward to meeting you and maybe working together.
Sweet.